Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We are going to continue with Entitled and hopefully get a really good chunk done. I mean, I keep thinking today will be the day that it's over, but I'm going to say maybe we have 3 more readings left. A little bit of news is that on Sunday, we are going to have our very first ever Sunday matinee. So we're going to, what I want to start doing is every Sunday have a watch along movie, a classic film, and I will just be like a little circle down in the corner, and the movie will be the majority of the screen. I'll introduce it, I'll tell you a little bit about it, then we'll watch it together. And then maybe we'll have like a little talk portion at the end where I discuss, things that I like, things that I didn't like, just that sort of thing. Yeah. So look out for that on Sunday. What I'll try to do is I'm going to record it, and then I will try to post it at like midnight in my time zone so that everyone will have access to it in all of your time zones, by the afternoon in your time zone. So, Timmy, stop that. He's already up to no good. I have paper blinds on they're like little paper accordion blinds. I think they're so cute, but he wants to chew them. The little bugger. All right. Are they out of reach? They're just out of his reach. So yes, we will start our first, I think we're just going to call it the Sunday matinee, or maybe we'll call it Silver Screen Sundays or something silly. We'll have like a little series. It'll just be something nice that we have on the weekend. That's a little break from our readings, but still in keeping with my personality and my interests. So hopefully all of you are interested in classic films as well. I was raised on them. I was very, very close to my grandparents growing up, and we watched a lot of classic films. All right, let's get going. So yes, I hope you'll join me for that. I'm really excited about it. All right. This next chapter is entitled Pitch at Palace. His role as special representative having come to an end, Andrew had set up a new organization, Pitch at Palace, to provide a forum for entrepreneurs to be brought together with investors. A cross between the Dragon's Den host Evan Davies and Claudia Winkleman from Strictly Come Dancing. It was funded by sponsors such as the accountancy giant KPMG, Cisco, Barclays, AstraZeneca, and Standard Chartered Bank, and launched at Buckingham Palace, with later functions at St. James's Place. It soon went international, with versions in Africa, China, Australia, the United Arab Emirates, Latin America, and Singapore. And successes included an HIV self-test kit, Stasher, a platform to let travelers find a place to store their bags without checking into a hotel, Buy Miles, an arrangement to charge car insurance by the number of miles driven, SafeToNet, software on a child's phone to stop them sexting. That's a good one. And Magic Pony Technology, an AI startup that Twitter bought for $150 million. Roddy Cameron was one of those chosen to pitch. It certainly gave me a chance, not least to get high-quality mentoring, and people began to take me seriously. That it took place at St. James's gave it an extra sizzle. Cameron used it as an opportunity to network, to meet service providers such as lawyers and accountants. It was a real enabler and took the barriers down. It was like a micro MBA. Quintus Liu set up a digital medical platform to connect pharmacy websites, with the result that medicines could be delivered to patients within the hour. It inspired me more than anything else, opened my eyes to opportunities out there, and allowed me to meet investors, he said. Michael Rolfe, co-founder, I'm really stuttering today. I think I'm getting worse and worse at this the more I read. Okay, let's keep going. Michael Rolfe, co-founder of Yo-Yo Wallet, won pitch in 2014, and as a result secured an introduction to Cafe Nero's founder, Jerry Ford. This led to the Yo-Yo Wallet handling the coffee chain's payments and loyalty scheme. He described pitch as a wholly positive experience, with every event well attended by a who's who of industry. Rolfe had multiple interactions with Prince Andrew. He would remember from one conversation to the next one about the firm. He was a force for good. The venture capitalist Bill Leah invested through pitch. While he thought Andrew wanted to be smarter than he really was, he found the Duke's aide, Amanda Thirsk, went the extra mile, was caring, and very capable. The problem he felt was that Andrew didn't always take her advice. The Duke also became involved with the Royal Academy of Engineering Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation, which saw such shortlisted pitches as a non-invasive diagnostic kit to detect malaria, Science Set, a mini science lab containing all the materials needed to carry out experiments in the school syllabus, BioShore, an HIV self-test, Cold Hubs, a solar-powered walk-in cold room that extended the shelf life of perishable food tenfold, and Goodbox, contactless terminals making it easier to donate to charity, which was taken up by the Natural History Museum, Great Ormond Street Hospital, and Save the Children. He also launched a scheme, the Inspiring Digital Enterprise Award, IDEA, to encourage children to learn digital skills and set up online businesses in partnership with the Nominet Trust, modeled on the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, with prizes of up to £20,000 for the best ideas for digital companies. The Duke gave an interview to John Arledge in the Sunday Times to promote his initiatives, describing himself as an ideas factory, adding, Prince Albert was the entrepreneur in residence at Buckingham Palace. He was doing it in the Industrial Revolution. I am doing it in the digital revolution. Not him comparing himself to Prince Albert, which is wild because Prince Albert, yes, he wasn't words are hard, my friends. He was an innovator for sure. And not least, though, he was a family man. He was 100% a family man. I really believe that he was 100% faithful to his wife for the entirety of their marriage. They seem to have been besotted with one another. And he was so troubled by his son's dalliances that it worsened his illness and he died. So, anyway, I just think it's a little ridiculous for him to be comparing himself to Prince Albert. It turned into a public relations disaster, however, after he refused to pose for pictures in the palace's Chinese dining room, despite some meticulous negotiation over 2 days between HRH, his staff, and the magazine. As Arledge put it, I'm left thinking that... Hold on there. He's into something. 1 second. Okay. As Arledge put it, I'm left thinking that if I can fly 10,500 miles to Sydney to see him in action with pitch at Palace, the least he can do is walk a few feet into the hall of his own home for a picture. True. Arledge later recollected, he was, without question, the most arrogant and thoughtless public figure I have ever witnessed. Everything he should have done, he didn't do, and everything he shouldn't have done, he did do. Arledge had originally intended to escalate his questions in terms of difficulty, but realized that even the easy ones were difficult for Andrew. The journalist abandoned a plan to pose a series of increasingly simple questions in the hope that he would just keep talking absolute crap and revealing himself to be incompetent, useless, ill-prepared, and thoughtless. Arledge warned the Buckingham Palace press office the article might be critical. "We work with what we have," they replied. a human Labrador. Along with Ivana Trump, Sarah had become the European and American spokesperson for dietitian Gianluca Meck, whose ketogenic approach to weight loss allowed practitioners to eat pasta and pizza, and whose $1,000 meal kits promised a loss of 20 pounds in 45 days. Really? The very clever timing of the announcement, with the marriage of Princess Eugenie to her long-term boyfriend, Jack Brooksbank, was, according to the managing director of the agency promoting Mech, an easy way for the brand to get a huge amount of free coverage from the partnership. On 12 October 2018, Princess Eugenie, dressed in a low-back dress to show off the scar from her scoliosis operation, married at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. The guests included Naomi Campbell, Demi Moore, Ellie Goulding, Cara Delevingne, Liv Tyler, Ricky Martin, Pixie Geldof, Robbie Williams, Tracy Eamon, Stephen Fry, Kate Moss, James Blunt, Jack Whitehall, David Tang, Nick Candy, Jamie Redknapp, Richard Benson, various Qatari rulers, Tarek Khatuni, David Rowland in the front row, and the Chinese internet tycoon Richard Liu. It was the first time Ferguson had appeared at a public family gathering for 27 years. Prince Philip, who had not been in the same room as his daughter-in-law for 20 years, sat beside her in the formal pictures. The security cost to the taxpayer for the wedding, attended by 850 guests, were estimated to be £2 million. Sarah Vine, writing in the Daily Mail, admitted a different view of the Duchess, who had set up a stall next to the main wedding marquee promoting... What? The Duchess, who had set up a stall next to the main wedding marquee promoting her range of teas. I'm so confused. Are you telling me that she set up like a little tent, like she was in the market, beside like the wedding, like the wedding reception tent? Or the wedding tent? And was like, here's my tea, while people were there. It was her daughter's wedding, and she set up a little... That's bizarre. Who had set up a stall next to the main wedding marquee promoting her range of teas. The woman is utterly incorrigible, and yet there is something about her indefatigable, indestructible nature that I can't help but admire. Something in her propensity for pratfalls of her own making that makes her so much more human than other royals. Vine likened her to a human Labrador, clumsy, overexcitable, greedy, prone to causing breakages with her constantly wagging tail, but ultimately impossible to remain angry with for all that long. See, isn't that just the thing? Because even with everything that she's done, there is something weirdly likable about her. And I've been saying this the whole time. Like, she's appalling. She's absolutely appalling. And yet... Okay. Another journalist, Frances Hardy, spent 2 days with the Duchess for a wide-ranging interview which covered her relationship with Andrew. We're the happiest divorced couple in the world. We're divorced to each other, not from each other. Her relationships with her parents, children, members of the royal family, and her charity work. Hardy felt the Duchess's compassion, empathy, and her love for children to be genuine. This ability to empathize with the young and disadvantaged came, Hardy argued, from Sarah's own unhappy childhood and reluctance to become an adult. As the Duchess freely admitted, but the key to me is that I look at life with a child's sense of excitement and joy. Asked about becoming a grandmother, she exclaimed, I tell you, they'll be older than me at age 3. I'll have more fun making the Barbie kit houses than the grandchildren will. I actually can't imagine that she would be a very good grandmother. Like, I think she would be a load of fun, you know? I think she does have her good points. I really do. Troubles multiply. On 6 July 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested on charges of sex trafficking. An offer of $100 million bail was refused, and he was sent to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. A few days earlier, the papers in Virginia Giuffre's 2015 defamation case against Ghislaine Maxwell had been unsealed, revealing the allegation that Johanna Soberg's breast had been groped by Prince Andrew, and, with claims all denied, that Giuffre had been forced by Epstein to have sex with the former New Mexico governor, Bill Richardson, billionaire Glenn Dubin, and former Democratic Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell. I believe it, right down to the ground. On 9 August, a further 2,000 pages of documents were opened. The next day, at 6:25 a.m., Epstein was found on his knees in his cell with a sheet tied around his neck at the top bunk. He was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead at 7:36 a.m. His cellmate had been moved out the previous day, which was unusual for someone on suicide watch. The CCTV was not working, and both his guards had fallen asleep at exactly the same time and for the same 3 hours, meaning that 6 mandatory visual checks had not been made. I mean, obviously, I don't think any of us think that he offed himself, you know, because I don't think he thought he was going to be staying in prison because he had so much dirt on people. So many people high up. Like, he probably knew the judge in that courtroom. You know what I mean? Like, he knew everybody. Anybody who had money, they were hobnobbing with him. And I think that they offed him so that he couldn't sing like a canary. Because he probably told people, if you try to put me down, I am going to tell everyone everything about you. Because we already know that he was holding on to information in order to blackmail people. So someone got rid of him. He had been taken straight to New York Presbyterian Lower Manhattan Hospital, violating the protocol that any suicide should be treated as if it were a crime scene, and the body was not photographed as it was found. Epstein's death must have come as a relief to many important figures whose secrets he held. There you go. The next day, the Queen, in a show of solidarity, sat Andrew beside her as she was driven to church. Andrew left Balmoral early by private jet for a villa in Santa Grande, loaned him by a Spanish businessman. Is it Santa Grande? I don't know. Hoping that would be the end of the matter, but it wasn't. On 18 August, the Mail on Sunday published a video made by Masr Mahmoud showing Andrew affectionately saying goodbye to a female visitor at the door of Epstein's New York mansion the day before he was pictured walking with the sex offender in Central Park in December 2010. 2 days later, it was revealed to be Catherine, the 29-year-old daughter of Paul Keating, Prime Minister of Australia, from 1991 to 1996. Keating, who at the time was in a relationship with billionaire Las Vegas hotel owner Andre Balaz, a friend of Ghislaine Maxwell, said that she had just met Andrew for a cup of tea. In spite of being contacted by multiple news agencies numerous times since the video was made public, she has refused to comment further. The next day, the Daily Mail published an article triangulating Andrew's movements with Epstein's flight logs and Virginia Giuffre's claims. It supported her statements that the two of them had been in London in March 2001 and the following month in New York and the Caribbean. Buckingham Palace refused to answer any of the questions put to it by the paper, including whether Andrew had met Giuffre in April 2001. Bradley Edwards, Giuffre's lawyer, called on him to come forward as a material witness. Amid continuing media speculation, Andrew issued another statement. I met Mr. Epstein in 1999. During the time I knew him, I saw him infrequently and probably no more than only once or twice a year. I stayed in a number of his residences. At no stage during the limited time I spent with him did I see, witness, or suspect any behavior of the sort that subsequently led to his arrest and conviction. The Buckingham Palace statement continued. The Duke of York has been appalled by the recent reports of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes. His Royal Highness deplores the exploitation of any human being, and the suggestion he would condone, participate in, or encourage any such behavior is abhorrent. The same day, the Mail detailed how Epstein and the Prince had partied together at least 20 times, even after the financier was convicted. In New York, Palm Beach, Little St. James, Thailand, Buckingham Palace, Balmoral, Sandringham, and Windsor Castle. The journalist Elizabeth Day, then a feature writer on a Sunday newspaper, recalled being approached by a member of Andrew's staff keen to rebrand him after he had been nicknamed Air Miles Andy, while he was still trade envoy. Waiting to see the Duke for the interview, she had noticed the oversized teddy bear stuffed into his seat outside his office and asked the Prince about it. In response, he sniggered and told her it had been a wedding present from his ex-wife, which he still found very funny. It seemed rather strange to me that a grown man would be so amused by the presence of a stuffed toy, said Day. But I suppose the English upper classes have a long history with teddy bears, used as transitional objects to express emotions they might feel very uncomfortable with. Really? Finding him defensive and somewhat sulky, Day asked if he could imagine life if he had not been born into the royal family. How on earth would I know? The Duke responded, as if he had been asked something absurd. Looking back in the light of Virginia Giuffre's claims, Day concluded that it was totally beyond him to understand what life might be like for someone else, for someone less privileged, less fortunate, more vulnerable. I can imagine him, this man with his teddy bear and his arrested development, being as self-centered as a child and not giving any thought as to the impact his behavior might have on anyone else. I can imagine him, too, being baffled and semi-outraged that he is now being asked to account for his actions. Friends of the Duke now briefed the media that the picture with Virginia Giuffre didn't look right, claiming their heights did not match and his fingers were chubbier. In her court depositions, Giuffre had stated that the two of them had taken a bath together. Andrew's defenders later claimed the bath was too small for them to have shared easily. But the story refused to die. On 24 August, it was reported that Andrew could be summoned to Paris as a witness to help French prosecutors investigating allegations of rape and sexual abuse by Epstein. On 27 August, Virginia Giuffre held a press conference. Asked about Prince Andrew, she answered, "He knows exactly what he's done, and I hope he comes clean about it." She repeated her claims the following month in an interview with NBC News. At the end of August, Fox News ran a video of the 2005 police raid on Epstein's Palm Beach home, showing massage tables and pictures of naked young women. Giuffre, with 4 other alleged Epstein victims, including a British former model, Anuska Di Giorgio, who had been at school with Kate Middleton, appeared on television and repeated her claims that she had once had sex with the prince in a bathroom, he had licked her toes and feet, and that he had said thank you afterwards. In September, the Sunday Times reported that British intelligence chiefs were concerned that Russia may have obtained compromising material on Prince Andrew over the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. According to the paper, Jean-Marc Dugan, I saw Jean-Marc, and that's a French name that is, very prominent in the area I live. So I immediately wanted to say Jean-Marc Dugan a former deputy in the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, had fled to Russia with copies of files on Andrew and was in touch with Pavel Borodin, a senior Russian official and mentor of Vladimir Putin. Asked what might be in the files, Dugan claimed, "Lots of videos, but I wasn't going to sit around and watch them. Also, lots of scanned documents. Law enforcement has had it in for many years. They had it when Epstein was first arrested in 2006, and the FBI had it when they seized my computers in 2016. And I know they had these materials because they were the ones that alerted MI6 in 2019 that I had a duplicate and had a compromising video of Andrew. So far as the future goes, it's in their court. We are not law enforcement, so we have no power in this matter." A well-respected PR expert, Jason Stein, he had previously worked as a special advisor to Amber Rudd as Work and Pensions Minister, and later was special advisor to Liz Truss as Prime Minister, was brought in to handle Andrew's communication strategy, and several official engagements were canceled, including any events in the United States. An indication of Andrew's state of mind came with a newspaper story at the beginning of September of an altercation, some reports said physical as well as verbal, with the respected master of the household, Vice Admiral. I always want to say admirable instead of admiral. Vice Admiral Sir Anthony Johnstone Burt, and a former Navy pilot contemporary of Andrews, over a booking for a Pitch at Palace event. Criticisms had continued of the Duke's Pitch at Palace activities. In May 2019, he had taken a private jet to Canada for a pitch event, though numerous commercial flights were available. Buckingham Palace claimed the costs had been met privately, but would not say by whom. Another trip on which Andrew was accompanied by his ex-wife, daughter Beatrice, and her then-boyfriend, Eduardo Mapelli Mozzi, to Bahrain, as guests of the Crown Prince, was timed to coincide with the Grand Prix. Rich Wilson, the founder of various digital companies, wrote an article arguing Pitch at Palace appears to have been a vehicle for Prince Andrew to enrich himself at the cost of the hard-working entrepreneurs he claimed to be helping. Wilson divulged that he had been invited to a pitch event, but on the condition he fill in an application. Reading the small print, he saw that Pitch at Palace was asking for a 2% commission if you raised investment at any point for up to 3 years after the pitch event. He was shocked. It's a massive red card. There is literally no reason to pay to pitch to investors. It's simply predatory on the part of the organizers, and anyone operating in this way should be named and shamed for it. This money was to be funneled from the charity Pitch at Palace, CIC, Community Interest Company, which had sponsored and benefited from events at Buckingham Palace and St. James's Place, graced by the Queen and various military bands, into Andrew's private limited company, Pitch at Palace Global Limited. The second company, of which the Prince was the ultimate controlling party, had 8 directors. It had £300,000 in the bank and was entitled to pay dividends to its shareholders. It was also registered at Buckingham Palace, which, according to royal protocol, must never be used for commercial purposes. It appeared that, for the prince, business as well as charity began at home. For the year ending 31 March 2019, Pitch at Palace Global posted a profit of £576,000, with an increase in assets from £943,731 in 2018 and £3,125,398, indicating turnover. Amounts received in sponsorship or donation income for the business exceeding £2.2 million. Accounts up to March 2020 showed assets of £1,495,737 and profits of £1.2 million. But that posed a question. Where had the profits come from? The Prince and the Pedophile. Yick. That October, Channel 4 aired a documentary, The Prince and the Pedophile, which revealed that Jeffrey Epstein had 16 phone numbers for Prince Andrew in his infamous address book, including a line to the Duke's computer modem, and 18 for his ex-wife. At the end of the month, Dr. Michael Baden, a former New York City medical examiner, who during a 5-decade medical career had worked on high-profile cases, including those of O.J. Simpson, President John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and record producer Phil Spector, gave an interview on American television. Hold on, I'm going to see if that is on YouTube. Well, I couldn't find it, but there's lots of little clips from Channel 4, so... Okay. Martin Luther King gave an interview. Okay. He had been hired by Jeffrey Epstein's brother to conduct an autopsy after the family were not given a copy of the... Excuse me, that is my boot. Sorry, the rabbit's trying to chew on my boot. Had not been given a copy of the official report, though required to by law. Baden noted that the 66-year-old Epstein had 2 fractures on the left and right sides of his larynx, specifically the thyroid cartilage, or Adam's apple, as well as 1 fracture on the left hyoid bone above the Adam's apple. Those 3 fractures are extremely unusual in suicidal hangings and could occur more commonly in homicidal strangulation, he concluded. There were also hemorrhages in Epstein's eyes that were common in homicidal strangulation and uncommon, though not unheard of, in suicidal hangings. Spencer Cooven, who represented many of the victims, also had doubts about the suicide verdict. I can't tell you he definitely didn't commit suicide, but it looks suspicious. He believed he was going to get out of jail because what he did in his mind was perfectly legal, perfectly fine. So why would he kill himself if he didn't feel he'd done anything wrong, especially before he's convicted? Exactly. At the beginning of November, someone didn't want him going to trial. Someone didn't want him up in a stand. Someone didn't want him yapping to his lawyer about who all was involved. Because he probably would have made a deal and been like, you know what? If you give me immunity, I'll give you this. These people who are really high up. And that would have been like, cha-ching. American and European society comes crashing to the ground. If only we could have seen that. At the beginning of November, an insider at ABC News leaked a hot mic interview with Amy Robach, Good Morning America's co-host and breaking news anchor at ABC, recorded 3 months earlier. The segment, passed to the investigative website Project Veritas, showed Robach venting her frustration to an off-camera producer about an interview she and her colleague Jim Hill had conducted with Virginia Giuffre in 2015, which was then squashed by the network. Hold on, it's my best friend. So she's expressing frustration at an interview with Virginia Giuffre in 2015, which was then squashed by the network. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts, now Virginia Giuffre, alleged Epstein victim. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Virginia told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable that we had Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail. The palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. One pressure point was to deny the channel any future interviews with the present Prince and Princess of Wales. As a result of the story being suppressed, Epstein and his associates had been able to groom, traffic, and abuse young girls for another 3 years. You know what? I just wish that someone would have had the guts to say, you know what? Palace, you can... Now, the only phrase that I can think of is very vulgar, but I'm going to say it anyway. You can suck it because we're doing it, you know? Hello? Hi. Robach went on to state that she believed Epstein had been killed in prison. So do I think he was killed? 100%. Yes, I do. He made his whole living blackmailing people. Yep. There were a lot of men in those planes, a lot of men who visited that island, a lot of powerful men who came into that apartment. Bingo. Okay, and that's the end of that section. I think we just have 2 sections left. Let me have a look at the table of contents. Yep, we have 2 left. We have the fight back and disgrace. Okay, we're going to stop there for today. I know it's a shorter video, but I have a million zillion things to do. And I think tonight I need to pre-record our movie night or movie day, matinee, whatever we're going to call it. Because tomorrow night I have plans with the kiddos, and then Friday night I have plans with my man because Saturday is my birthday. So, yes. Oh, that rabbit. Okay. Thank you so much for being here with me. I can't wait to be with you again tomorrow, and we will continue with Entitled, and I hope you have the best day possible. I will see you soon. Bye.